Have you ever felt like you're living a life you didn't choose? Waking up each day with the weight of a heavy burden, as if life is pushing you down instead of lifting you up? What if I told you that all of this can change? And not externally, but within your own mind. Many people think Stoicism means being cold or indifferent, but in reality, it's the opposite. It's like turning on a light in the middle of the chaos. It's about stopping the energy drain from things outside our control and starting to change, firmly, what's within our grasp, ourselves. A true life transformation doesn't start with a new job or a new person in your life. It begins with a quiet shift inside, a new way of thinking. In this video, you will discover 16 ideas from Stoicism that can genuinely transform your life. These aren't surface-level changes, but profound shifts that start with how you think, the silent choices you make, and how you respond to what happens around you. Before we continue, I want to invite you to leave a comment saying, "Today, I choose to grow." This phrase is more than just a message. It's the first step on a new journey. Shall we embark on this together? It all starts within you. Number 1. The answer lies within you. Have you noticed how often you try to fix the world outside while the confusion remains inside? We try to change jobs, partners, our location, without realizing that the real issue is in our minds. Epictetus said that what truly lies in our hands isn't the events themselves, but how we perceive them. In other words, it's not life that needs to change, but our way of looking at it. This changes everything. It's the distinction between living on autopilot or living with purpose, between being swept away by life or taking the reins. Imagine a dark room. A man is inside, wandering aimlessly, bumping into furniture, getting hurt, and growing angry because he can't see anything. He curses the place, he shouts, but no one has told him that he has a flashlight in his pocket. This man is you, and the room is your mind. Sometimes what you perceive as a bad, unfair, chaotic world is merely a reflection of the mess in your head. You can't change the weather, but you can choose what to wear. You can't control what others say, but you can decide how much it affects you. And most importantly, you can choose where to focus your attention. Attention is the starting point of everything. What you look at grows. If you focus on fear, comparison, and guilt, that's what will spread within you. But if you begin to think more calmly, ask honest questions, and have the courage to face the truth, something different will be born inside you. The mistake is thinking that life is as hard as stone, that it doesn't change. But in reality, it's like modeling clay. What gives it shape? Your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings that remain misunderstood. What you feel is real, but it's not everything. The anxiety that appears before a choice doesn't mean run away, but rather, pay attention to what I'm telling myself right now. How many times have you stalled your own life waiting for someone to say go? How often did you refrain from acting out of fear of what others would think? How many times did you shrink back because someone didn't see your worth? Now think, are those people, those voices, those pressures really in charge? Or did you hand over the keys? Stoicism invites us to take back what we've surrendered, control over our own lives. You don't own what others do, nor are you responsible for what has already happened. But you are entirely responsible for how you will act from now on. Real change doesn't come from fighting the world, but from changing how you see and understand everything around you. Start with calm questions. Where is my attention right now? Does this thought bring me closer to or further away from the life I want to live? Am I seeing this clearly or through fear? These questions are like mirrors, and when you look at yourself sincerely, without running away, something changes. The world begins to treat you more truthfully too. You realize you don't need applause to move forward, nor do you need permission to exist. You can walk firmly even when the wind is against you, because true strength isn't out there. It's in the ground you choose to stand on within. The key is with you, and no door stays closed for long when you learn to open it with awareness. Number 2, understanding wounds. Have you ever been hurt by words that didn't even seem heavy? Have you ever felt your heart tighten over a dismissive glance, someone ignoring you, or a casual phrase that seemed minor but stung? Well, everyone has experienced this, and it's in those moments that Stoicism urges us to look not at who hurt us, but at the part of ourselves that remains too open. Seneca, with his usual wisdom, said, "It's not what they say that hurts us, but the value we give to what was said. Hurt doesn't have power on its own. It only gains life if we accept it. Think of it as a letter sent to you. Someone writes something hurtful, seals the envelope, and sends it. When that letter arrives, you have two choices. You can open it, read it, and let those words seep into your heart. Or you can refuse it, returning it without even reading. Refusing an offense is one of the strongest ways to maintain your peace. But see, this doesn't mean pretending nothing happened or accepting everything in silence. It means realizing that you can protect yourself without filling yourself with hatred. You can be firm without getting angry. You can distance yourself without wishing harm. When someone insults you, the issue isn't with you, it's in the confusion of the other person. Their actions reveal more about them than about you. Yet we often give too much power to those words, as if they define who we are. But you are not what they say. You are what you believe about yourself, and if you choose not to get hurt, the hurt loses its power. The truth is that many of our reactions stem from old wounds, from pains that were never addressed, from stories we carry without realizing. Sometimes someone calls you useless, and it stings, not because it's true, but because you've felt that way before. That phrase merely grazed an existing wound. Real change isn't about becoming stone. It's about knowing yourself better. When you understand your pains, you stop placing them in the hands of others. When you realize where it hurts, you learn not to let anyone touch that spot. Imagine you are a strong construction, like a castle. Someone throws stones, trying to knock you down, but your walls are firm, in silence. The stone hits and falls. The person tires, and you remain standing. This is how you stay protected. Not by closing yourself off, but by not allowing the world to dictate your worth. Your peace is priceless. Your honor is not for sale. And your inner self is a sacred space that only you care for. Throughout life, many people will try to elicit reactions from you: fear, shame, forced obedience. But you have the right and the responsibility to choose how you will respond. For the Stoics, freedom is not about stopping feelings. It's about learning to feel clearly. It's about not reacting impulsively, but with calm. The next time someone tries to belittle you, take a deep breath. Instead of reacting immediately, think, what does this show about this person? And then, do I really want to carry this with me? Because an offense only lives if you give it space. Sometimes the greatest demonstration of strength is letting go of what was never yours to hold. Number 3, the power of silence. Have you ever felt that urge to explain everything? To show that you are right? To defend yourself at any cost? It seems there's something within us that feels uncomfortable with silence, as if staying quiet means losing. But silence is not a lack of response. It is a response full of presence. Musonius Rufus, who taught Epictetus, understood the value of remaining silent. He said that speech should be like a knife kept sheathed, ready but controlled. Speaking too much is wasting energy. Silence is where wisdom resides. These days, everyone wants to talk all the time. Everyone wants to be right, win debates, and express opinions. But often this only leads to exhaustion. Stoicism teaches another way, the way of calm and self-control, the ability to know when it's time to act, and even more, when it's time to remain silent. How many times have you said too much and later regretted it? How often have you reacted impulsively and then realized you could have maintained your peace? Speaking can become a habit. Staying silent is a choice. Imagine a large stone in the middle of a storm. It rains, it whines, it thunders, but the stone remains firm, quiet, unmoved. You can be that stone. You can let the world tire itself trying to shake you while your calm remains intact. True silence is not just about not speaking. It's about not letting your ego shout. It's about not feeling the need to respond to everything, not getting upset about everything, not falling into every trap. When you know yourself well, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your actions show who you are. Your calm speaks louder than any explanation. Silence is also a mirror. When you don't retaliate, the other person sees themselves. When you don't respond to provocation, it loses its power. When you don't engage in the game, the poison returns to the sender. But don't confuse silence with weakness. Staying quiet is not surrender. It's knowing the right moment to act. It's stored strength. It's intelligence that chooses when and how to move. Those who embrace Stoicism learn not to react immediately, but to observe, to perceive what comes from outside and what comes from within, to understand what needs to be said and what only needs to be comprehended. Deep down, The desire to respond to everything stems from insecurity within oneself. Silence, on the other hand, comes from self-trust, from knowing that you are not what others think or say, but what you choose to be inside, firmly, without being swayed by the noise. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, try not to react right away. Take a deep breath, observe, stay quiet, feel the firmness that grows when you realize you don't need to say anything. You just need to be who you are, because there is a way to win without fighting. And it starts when you understand that silence, when it comes with clarity, is not empty. It is control. Number 4, take care of the chaos within you. Do you ever feel like there's a whirlwind inside you? A confusion between what you want to do and what you feel? Between the urge to scream and the effort to stay calm? Between wanting to run away and knowing you need to keep going? This struggle is not weakness, it's a signal. Stoicism doesn't tell us to hide our feelings or to become stone. It teaches us to be like the sea, sometimes raging on the surface, but calm underneath. Holding back what you feel doesn't mean suppressing it. It means knowing how to use it. It's about transforming the fire of anger into warmth that comforts, not into a fire that destroys. Zenon, who started this line of thought, said that the greatest battlefield is within us. True power is not about controlling others. It's about managing your own internal chaos. Notice how often what hurts is not what happened, but what we think about it. The story we create in our heads, the way we judge what occurred. Before it can hurt outside, we must first find an open door inside. Change begins when you realize you don't have to react right away. You can breathe, feel, and choose a better path. Taking care of the internal storm is like watching a bonfire. You don't put out the fire in haste. You approach slowly, understand what it wants to communicate, and learn to deal with it. Anger, fear, anxiety, they are not enemies. They are signals. They show where there's still something unresolved, where an old pain lies, a weak spot needing attention. Many people live dominated by themselves. They are carried away by emotions they don't understand, by pains they've never faced, by reactions they repeat as if they were laws, but they're not. Change is possible. Changing doesn't mean stopping feeling. It's about learning to care. It's recognizing when you're about to explode and choosing not to. It's seeing anxiety pulling at you and opting to stay grounded. Think of a boat in choppy waters. The wind blows hard, the waves toss it around, but the captain stays steady at the helm. He guides by the direction, looks at the horizon, and holds firm to the command. You are that captain. Your mind is the sea, and the course you choose will determine where you end up. Taking care of yourself is like taming a wild beast. At first it's scared, it breaks free, it runs away. But with patience, training, and repetition, it learns to trust and follow. The same applies to your mind. You don't force it to obey. You earn its trust through presence, routine, and choice. Every time you hold back the impulse to react and choose to act calmly, you strengthen your internal control. You prove to yourself that you are greater than the feelings that come and go, that your clarity is what guides you, not the impulse. And this changes everything. Because those who understand themselves on the inside can navigate the world's chaos without losing their way. They can be criticized, betrayed, pressured, and still keep their feet on the ground. The mess may be on the outside, but inside, peace resides. Number 5, know your limits or you will lose yourself. Have you ever felt like you're disappearing in your own relationships? By giving in so much, you become someone you don't even recognize. By trying to keep everything fine, you end up forgetting about yourself. This happens because where there are no limits, there is no defined space. Without boundaries, everything becomes confusing. What is yours becomes a place for anyone. Confucius said something simple. Respect begins within us. If you don't value yourself, no one will learn to value you. The world doesn't understand words. It understands actions, choices, and limits. Setting limits is a powerful way to know yourself. Because to know where to draw the line, you need to understand where you start to get hurt, where your energy begins to drain, where your essence starts to fade away. Sometimes we think that loving means being always available. We believe that saying yes to everything is being mature. But there's a huge difference between being kind and abandoning yourself. One signals greatness, the other is fear of asserting yourself. You weren't made to please everyone, And those who keep their arms wide open all the time eventually tire and fall. Think of yourself as a beautiful, well-kept house, full of good things. But if you leave all the doors open all the time, anyone can enter. Some will take care of it well. Others will mess everything up and leave without even thanking you. And at the end of the day, you're left trying to understand where your peace went. The lack of limits confuses people, and most importantly, confuses you. You start feeling bad for not being able to keep up, for wanting to say no, but not being able to. But the guilt doesn't come from refusing. It comes from having accepted for so long what was already hurting you. You don't need to explain yourself for taking care of your space. What you feel is important. Your time is very valuable. Your energy has an end. And every time you exhaust yourself trying to please or be accepted by those who never value you, you drift further away from who you truly are. Saying no is saying yes to yourself. And you can do this firmly and politely at the same time. You can set a limit without causing a fight. You can choose silence without harboring resentment. You can distance yourself without holding on to anger. A limit doesn't mean rejecting anyone. It means showing yourself. When you make clear how far others can go, you're actually showing how far you can go without losing yourself. This isn't just about self-protection, it's about self-love. Don't wait for others to treat you with respect just because you expect it. Respect comes from how you present yourself, from the times you choose not to swallow what bothers you, from the moments you realize that discomfort is a sign that something needs to change. Confucius said, "When you value yourself, others learn from your example. They see that you take your life seriously, that you don't give up what is essential, and that you prefer to lose the acceptance of others rather than look in the mirror and not recognize yourself." Now think about your life. Where are you crossing your limits? Where are you putting yourself aside to keep the peace with others? Where are you being kind to everyone but treating yourself poorly? Perhaps it's time to reorganize the borders of your world. Cut away what is excessive, build symbolic fences, and protect yourself with respect. Because if you don't take care of yourself, no one will do it for you. And what disappears in this process isn't true love. It's the weight of a burden that wasn't even yours. Number 6, stop feeding the thoughts that bring you down. Have you noticed how some thoughts seem to circle in your mind like a scratched record? Memories of past events, hurtful words, fears that never materialized but keep resurfacing as if they were real. What you may not know is that every time you pay attention to these negative thoughts, you're feeding an invisible monster that grows inside your head. Marcus Aurelius, a philosopher and emperor, said, "The soul becomes what it focuses on." In other words, what you choose to think, repeat, and believe becomes your inner world. And what's inside you will influence how you see the world around you. Negative thoughts aren't just a waste of time. They act like a seed. If you water them with fear and worry, they will grow and take over your clarity. You'll stop seeing solutions because all you'll focus on are the problems. You'll stop trusting yourself because you'll only hear the voices of doubt. The Stoics don't say you should ignore bad thoughts. They teach that you can choose which thoughts are worth your attention and which ones you should let go. Think of your mind as a calm and sacred space. Now imagine that you let any thought enter, one that makes you feel inferior, another that compares you to others, another that reminds you of something painful. Before long, that calm space becomes a messy and noisy place. That's why the Stoics advise you to be careful about what you allow into your mind. Not everything you think is true. Not every feeling deserves a prominent place. You don't have to be a slave to your thoughts. You can choose what you want to engage with, just like a guard chooses who can enter their territory. There's a simple and powerful practice that few people know. Observe without getting involved. When a negative thought arises, observe it like someone watching a cloud pass in the sky. Notice that it's there, but don't cling to it. Let it drift away. It's not you. How many times a day do you think phrases like, "I'm not good at this," "It's going to go wrong," "No one cares about me"? These phrases aren't just thoughts. They're commands that your mind receives, and your brain believes what you tell it, always. But it's possible to change that. You can replace "I can't" with "I'm still learning." Change "I only fail" to "I'm improving little by little." This isn't just a different way of speaking. It changes everything inside you. If the soul becomes what it focuses on, then choose to look at your strengths. Think of the courage you've shown, the times you stood firm, the moments when you did your best, even when afraid. Nurture the memory of your determination, not just your failures. And when your mind feels like a mess, Remember that you can choose not to fight it. You can take a deep breath, accept what you need to feel, embrace your emotions, and then calmly redirect your attention to something more positive. Because what strengthens thoughts is the attention you give to them, and when the mind is craving attention, it will accept anything, even what doesn't serve you well. So, take care of your mind as if it were a garden. Carefully and lovingly remove the weeds. Water the ideas and thoughts that uplift you. Let the light in to illuminate your inner self. Over time, you'll notice that when well-nourished, the soul no longer pleads for peace. It transforms into peace. Number 7. Pain also wants to tell you something. Have you ever tried to run away from a pain you were feeling? An uncomfortable emotion? A bad memory? Everyone at some point tries to hide what hurts. We distract ourselves, fill up our schedules, and remain silent. But pain, when ignored, doesn't just disappear. It turns into exhaustion, anxiety, lack of motivation, that strange feeling that something is wrong, even when everything seems fine. Rumi, an ancient poet, spoke of another way to deal with it. He said, "Where it hurts, there is the ground, the place of healing, of change." This means that pain is not a punishment. It's a message. It doesn't show up to bring you down, but to reveal that there's still something within you that needs attention. Stoicism views this idea practically. It's not about seeking pain, but understanding that it's part of the path we take to grow. Life isn't just made up of conscious choices. It's also shaped by the marks we carry and how we decide to deal with them. Have you noticed how some pains return? How you find yourself in the same arguments, feeling the same emptiness, experiencing the same problems? This happens because there's something that hasn't been resolved yet. Pain reappears until you're ready to face it, without trying to escape. Facing it doesn't mean trying to understand everything with your mind. It's about feeling, being present, allowing the pain to pass through you without knocking you down, letting it show you what still needs to change inside. Think of your pain as a flame. Yes, it burns, but it also illuminates. If you run from its light, you'll keep stumbling in the dark. But if you stop and look it in the face, in silence, and let it reveal what's hidden, something valuable happens. You reconnect with your true self. Pain reveals where you still abandon yourself, where you stayed quiet when you wanted to shout, where you dimmed your light to please others, where you stopped being yourself to feel accepted. Often, it's the clearest signal we have because it doesn't lie. It points to what's still out of alignment between what you live and who you truly are. So instead of hiding pain with distractions, try to listen to what it wants to say. Ask what needs to be looked at. Ask what it wants to heal, and then walk alongside it, not against it. Because every pain, when received with attention, becomes a lesson. Being stoic doesn't mean not feeling. It's feeling everything, but not allowing yourself to sink. It's someone who cries in silence, but moves forward with a clear gaze. It's someone who understands that there are things we only learn when we're in the dark. So next time pain arises, don't see it as an enemy. See it as a teacher. Sit with it. Look it in the eye. Listen to what it wants to say, and you'll discover that there's a strength within you waiting to awaken right there, in the place that hurts the most. Because pain passes, and those who confront it with courage find on the other side a stronger version of themselves that might never have emerged otherwise. Number 8. Distance yourself from those who diminish your light. Have you ever felt drained inside, even without putting in much effort? Have you ever left a conversation or gathering feeling like something inside you wilted? As if instead of exchanging energy, you lost it? This isn't drama or exaggeration. It's your soul trying to warn you. Plotinus, an ancient thinker, provides a strong and true image. You can't clean the water if the source remains dirty. This means you can do all the self-care work, meditate, write, seek understanding. But if you remain close to people who spoil your day with negativity, control, or disrespect, your peace won't last. Stoicism teaches observation. Observing without judgment, but with honesty. And there's a truth many people don't want to see. Not every company is beneficial. Some are like poison acting slowly. Some hurt us without fever, damage without leaving marks. And the worst part, we start to get used to it. We begin to think it's normal to leave feeling tired, to feel small, to live with that persistent discomfort that never goes away. This becomes habitual. This starts to feel like the norm. But eventually, the body and soul can't bear the weight of toxic relationships anymore. Then the signs appear: sleepless nights, anxiety without reason, sadness that lingers, that feeling of being far from yourself. You need to ask yourself, from where am I drinking my water? What voices do I allow to echo within me? Who is around me? People who remind me of my light, or those who pull me into the shadows? There are friendships born from pain that continue because of it. Relationships that persist not out of love, but out of dependency. Family ties maintained by guilt, not affection. Partnerships that only function when you silence, diminish, or adapt yourself. Yet, you remain there, out of fear, attachment, or habit. But every permanence has a cost. And if you don't consciously choose to pay that cost, you'll end up paying it with your life energy. It's not about cutting people off harshly. It's about realizing that your soul is your home, and not everyone deserves to stay inside it. It's understanding that distancing yourself from those who harm you is a way to be true to yourself. Caring for your peace isn't selfish, it's maturity. Think of yourself as a candle lit in the dark. Your light is fragile yet strong. Now think of the gusts of wind around you. A criticism here, a hurtful joke there, a disguised demand for care. Gradually, your flame weakens, until one day, without noticing, it goes out. And you wonder why everything has become so dark when you once could see clearly. The answer lies in what you accepted quietly. Plotinus warns us, as long as the source is contaminated, trying to clean the water will be in vain. And this spring is your emotional environment. These are the people you listen to every day, with whom you share your intimacy, your plans, your fears, your uncertainties. If these people do not know how to care for what is most precious in you, your silence, your essence, your sensitivity, then they do not deserve to be at the center of your life. The Stoic knows that living well is, first and foremost, about knowing how to protect oneself, not just from the dangers of the world, but from the leaks of the soul. They understand that good character grows best in the right places, and that some battles can only be won by staying away. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you've distanced yourself. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You just need to understand that your light is worth more than being close to those who try to dim your shine. So today, look around and then look within. If you feel a tightness, if something bothers you, pay attention. Your soul knows when it is being invaded. And when you learn to care for your light, it stops flickering and begins to truly illuminate your path. Number 9, accept what is real before it brings you down. How many times after losing something or someone have you suffered not just from the absence, but from the idea that it shouldn't have happened? How many times when making a mistake did the most painful part come from the narrative your mind created around that error? Pain is inevitable, but the extra suffering, the one that lingers, is often caused by the stories we tell ourselves about what has happened. Pyrrho, one of the first philosophers to question everything, left us a valuable lesson. What really bothers us is not what happens, but what we think about it. It's not the event itself that hurts, but the resistance, the internal struggle against it. What causes suffering is not the situation, but the way we deal with it. Pain is part of life. We all face tough moments, losses, and mistakes. There's no avoiding it. However, the suffering that extends beyond pain, the one that consumes us for longer, is often a choice hidden behind phrases like, "That was wrong," or "That shouldn't have happened to me." These phrases create a weight that only prolongs suffering. Stoicism teaches us a way to true freedom, to accept life as it is. Accepting does not mean submitting to passivity, but rather seeing the situation with clarity and wisdom. It's like stopping swimming against the current and learning to use the force of the water to your advantage. Instead of fighting against difficulties, you can learn to use them to move forward. Understanding that we do not have total control over events allows us to gain wisdom. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means stopping the energy drain of struggling against what has already happened and using that energy to change what can still be transformed. Imagine someone fighting against the wind, shouting, pushing, and tiring themselves out, while the wind remains indifferent. The wind is not an enemy, it just is. When the person stops fighting, they realize they can use that wind to their advantage, even to help move a boat. This is how life works. Sometimes the solution lies in accepting the current and using its strength to advance, not in trying to control the uncontrollable. Fighting against what has already happened only leads to frustration. Acceptance, on the other hand, opens space for acting with more calmness and clarity. How many times have you felt stuck trying to understand, why did this happen? What if instead you asked yourself, what can I learn from this now? Or what can I do with what I have in this moment? By shifting your perspective, you begin to see what can truly be done. There are things that cannot be changed. Someone who is gone, a wrong decision, a painful loss, a significant disappointment. These are inevitable parts of life, but there is always something we can do with what remains. There is always a seed that can sprout in seemingly barren soil. You don't have to like what happened, but it is crucial to stop fighting with the past. What's done is done. What matters now is what you will do with the present. Peace does not come when everything is as expected. It arises when you understand that challenges are part of the journey. Life will not stop for you to feel ready. The world will not become easier just because you want to avoid pain. Time does not rewind to correct what has been done, but paradoxically, this is a disguised blessing. For when you accept what is with maturity, you find a new calm within yourself, a quiet strength, an inner clarity that makes you believe, I can handle this. The Stoic does not believe the world has to be fair. They strive to be fair, even while living in a world full of imperfections. They do not expect everything to change, but adapt to navigate better through reality. Accepting what is real, no matter how challenging, is an act of courage. It is choosing truth, movement, and the chance to act, rather than remaining trapped in denial. When you stop fighting against what already is, you begin to transform that acceptance into a starting point for a new phase. Because what really hurts is not what happened, but how much you insist on holding on to what has already passed. When you learn to let go, you make space for something new, something better, to emerge. Number 10. You are becoming what you repeat. Have you noticed that you keep telling yourself the same things? Like, I can't do it, or this is too hard. Have you noticed that even when everything changes outside, you remain stuck in the same place inside? Few people understand that these phrases become like building blocks, and with them, you construct the place where you will live internally, a cramped, dark space, with no room for the new. But it was you who built it, with repeated words in your thoughts. Aristotle taught that we are not defined by grand decisions, but by what we do consistently, even when no one is watching. You don't become brave with just one act. You become brave when you confront small discomforts every day. You don't feel strong only when you achieve something, but when you choose day after day not to diminish yourself. The mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is repeated many times. If you feed an idea long enough, it ceases to be just a thought and becomes a certainty. And when something becomes a certainty, it starts to command your choices and shape your view of the world. Stoicism invites people to recognize these patterns, to step out of autopilot mode, to understand that many of our attitudes are no longer choices. They have become emotional habits. True freedom isn't about doing whatever you want, but about realizing that you don't have to remain trapped in the way you've become accustomed to thinking. The right question is direct, yet powerful. What am I nurturing within myself every day? The answer lies in the small things, in the thoughts that arise as soon as you wake up, in the feelings you've grown accustomed to having, in the excuses you repeat to avoid doing what you need to do. You may want a lighter life, but you're constantly blaming yourself. You may dream of sincere love, but you tell yourself that no one will love you. You may desire to be courageous, but you keep repeating that you're afraid to try. And so, the distance between what you want and what you truly live grows. But it is possible to change this, and it all begins when you consciously decide to stop the old habits. Stopping doesn't mean pretending nothing is happening. It means being present. It's when that old thought appears, it's going to go wrong, and instead of following the usual script, you take a deep breath and choose a different path. I haven't tried it my way yet, with everything I've got. These pauses aren't magic, but they make all the difference. They create space in your mind, and it's through this space that light enters. Light of new chances, of other options, of awareness. The Stoic doesn't wait to feel like acting. They act even with fear, even in doubt, because they understand that when they do what is right repeatedly, they are changing their own destiny. They are gradually becoming the person they want to be, not just in idea, but in practice. And you? What have you been doing, thinking, or feeling every day? What kind of person are you becoming with the thoughts and attitudes you repeat without realizing? You can't remain neutral. Either you take care of yourself, or you let yourself slip away a little more each day. So, Observe yourself with courage, not to judge yourself, but to take back the reins. Change the routine, break the automatic cycle, start anew, and above all, choose to repeat what brings you closer to your essence, to your calm, to your strength, because you are not what you feel now and then. You are what you insist on feeling. You are not what you think once. You are what you think consistently. You are not what you desire strongly. You are what you build patiently. Number 11. Return to the now before everything slips away. Have you noticed how often we aren't fully present in the moments we are living? You're working, but your mind is on the to-do list at home. You're at home, but only thinking about what went wrong yesterday. You're trying to relax, but anxiety about what you need to do tomorrow takes over. Always rushing, but never truly whole. Lucanus, a Stoic philosopher with a poetic soul, said that the present may be small, but it is all we truly have. The past is gone and won't return. The future is a vast assumption filled with uncertainties. The now, though fragile and fleeting, is where everything truly happens, where you really live. You may have everything you think is important: health, affection, money, freedom, but if you can't live in the present moment, none of that will truly touch you deeply. Because it's being present in the now that transforms the ordinary into something special. It is presence that gives value to the moment, that makes life genuinely lived. But the present doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't fight for a place in your mind. It simply waits patiently. It waits for you to stop, take a deep breath, feel the ground beneath your feet, and observe what's happening around you with your own eyes, without haste, without the weight of worries. Stoicism doesn't say to escape reality. It invites you to dive deeper into it. Living in the now doesn't mean forgetting the past or ignoring the future. It means understanding that we can only change something when we are fully present. Only with mindfulness can we see clearly. Only in the present can we live authentically. Yet, even knowing this, we often insist on rushing. We live thinking that the now is an obstruction, when in reality, it is the only real path to achieving what we truly want. How many precious moments have you already lost because you were thinking about something else? How many conversations that could have been important turned into mere background noise? How many simple things passed by unnoticed or unappreciated? A mind that lives distant from the present becomes a field of confusion, filled with fear of what might happen, sadness for what has already passed, tired and unsure how to stop, to be grateful, or just to be. When we are out of the now, we live on autopilot, not realizing that it is precisely in the present that life occurs. Imagine your life as a candle. When you observe it with attention, it shines, warms, and illuminates. But if you ignore it, it gradually dims. And then you start living in the dark, trying to find answers everywhere around you, except in the one place where they truly are, in the now. Being present is a constant exercise. It begins as soon as you wake up and decide not to get lost in random thoughts. It's the moment you choose to be here and now, instead of getting lost in worries about what happened in the past or what might happen in the future. This reflects in small gestures, savoring your coffee calmly, truly looking at the face of someone you love, hugging without rush, appreciating silence that, far from being uncomfortable, is welcoming. The Stoic is someone who stands firm in the present. They don't torment themselves over what has already passed, nor do they despair over what hasn't arrived yet. They transform the now into their sacred space. They act authentically, listen with an open heart, and love with intensity. So, if you feel you are drifting away from yourself, pause for a moment. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel your body. Listen to the sounds around you. Perceive life calling you, not as a distant concept, but as this very moment, asking to be lived before it passes. Because, like everything in life, this moment will pass. But what you have truly lived, with attention and presence, becomes eternal within you. It's not what we accumulate over time that defines our happiness, but how we manage to savor what we have now, in the present. Living in the present requires practice and awareness. Every day is a new opportunity to be fully present and experience life without haste. If we can learn to appreciate what is right in front of us, rather than constantly looking back at what was or ahead at what could be, we will be closer to living a richer and more meaningful life. So, start now. Breathe. Look around you. The present is all we have. Don't let it slip through your fingers amid the rush and distraction. The true beauty of life lies in living the moment with attention and gratitude. Number 12. Take care of the body that carries your story. Have you ever thanked the body that brought you this far? The chest that has held so many pains? The legs that kept going even when everything inside you wanted to stop? The eyes that cried silently, but continued to seek beauty amid chaos? We live in a time that values performance too much, but forgets about rest. It cares only about appearance while ignoring the signs of fatigue. We've learned to treat the body as if it were just a tool, something to be forced, shaped, and used. But the body is not a machine. It is a home. And like any home, it needs care, respect, and silence. Cleanthes, who came after Zeno, understood that taking care of the body was not a fight against it, but a partnership between the body and the mind. For him, it made no sense to try to be a better person while the body is at its limit, nor to focus solely on physical training while ignoring what is happening inside. The mind and body need to walk together, looking in the same direction. But what we often see are people who are exhausted inside and out, or individuals who are full of energy on the outside, yet devastated on the inside. When these two sides are out of sync, imbalance arises, and with it comes that quiet suffering. Have you ever stopped to pay attention to what your body is trying to tell you? The back pain may be the weight you've been carrying without realizing it. A stiff neck could be what you've swallowed silently. Difficulty sleeping might be the internal struggle you're avoiding. These signals are not the problem, they are messages. It's your body's way of calling your attention, asking for care, affection, and respect. The Stoics did not separate body and soul. They knew that ignoring the body means neglecting a part of oneself, and only worrying about appearance is also self-deception. The right path is to care for both together. Think of yourself as a fighter. Your mind is the strategy, but the body is what puts everything into practice. If the body fails, everything crumbles. Therefore, real change begins by listening to what comes from within. What in me needs rest? What is asking for more nourishment? What wants to move? And what just wants peace? Many people try to solve internal pain by exaggerating external efforts. They exercise until they are exhausted, start crazy diets, and chase approval through their appearance. But the answer you seek isn't in the mirror. It's about making peace with your own rhythm. It's about treating yourself with kindness, not with harshness disguised as willpower. Cleanthes already knew. The body shows how the mind is doing. Excessive physical activity often screams of an ignored emotion. And treating the body well is, above all, an act of intelligence. You don't need a flawless body. You need a body that is with you. A strong body to support your decisions. One that helps you rise when you fall. That walks alongside you instead of trying to reach others. So today, stop, breathe deeply, feel, and honestly ask yourself, how am I treating my body? Is it my partner or my enemy? A friend or a way to escape what I feel? Your soul is important, but the body that carries that soul is too, and one does not walk far without the other. Number 13, free yourself from the need to please everyone. Have you ever refrained from doing something you believed in out of fear of what others would think? Have you ever altered the way you express yourself, your choices, and even your behavior just to be accepted? Have you felt yourself fading away, trying not to upset anyone, but deep down losing yourself? This prison, though invisible, is very real. It's the habit of seeking approval from others, and this doesn't come in a loud way, but through the small doubts that paralyze us, the silence that confines us, and the desire to please that often hurts us inside. Chiron, a lesser-known but very direct Stoic philosopher, posed a question that makes us reflect. Until when will you stop being yourself just to be accepted by others? We all want to feel loved. Since childhood, we've learned to seek security and validation from others. But there comes a time when continuing to wait for that validation becomes a way of losing ourselves. Those who live to please others end up betraying themselves. The truth is that, in trying to please everyone, you distance yourself from who you truly are. Stoicism teaches us that our peace should be in our own hands. The opinions of others should not govern our lives. The value of an action lies in what it represents internally, not in what others think of it. You can be praised by many and still feel empty inside, or you can be misunderstood, yet remain firm on your path. What truly matters is not the applause. What makes a difference is being at peace with yourself, being at ease with your own conscience. The desire for acceptance becomes an endless cycle. Today you seek approval from your boss, tomorrow from your partner, then from friends, and afterward from everyone on social media. And without realizing it, you start living a life that isn't yours. You begin to make decisions out of fear rather than freedom. But there's a way out of this. And it starts with a simple yet powerful decision: to choose yourself, not out of pride, but out of truth. Not to isolate yourself, but to truly understand yourself. Choose what you feel, even if it displeases others. Choose your own voice, even if it still seems unsure. Choose your own path, even if not everyone around you understands. Imagine a tree growing in the middle of a forest. It does not bend to please others. It grows toward the light it feels within. It withstands the wind, adapts to the seasons, but never loses its roots. The tree doesn't seek applause, it seeks stability, and that's why it flourishes. You can be like that too. When you stop depending on others' approval, you begin to hear what truly matters. And from that place, you can act with freedom. You discover something rare. True admiration only comes when you stop seeking it. Those who live authentically carry a calm strength, a presence that doesn't need to shout to be noticed, a confidence that doesn't rely on anyone's approval. And you? How many times have you hidden your truth out of fear of what others might think? How many times have you dimmed your light because of the gaze of others? Remember, you weren't born to fit in. You were born to grow, to take up your space, even if that causes discomfort for some, to be whole, even if not everyone appreciates it. Because you didn't come into this world to please others. You came to live fully, to be who you really are. True freedom comes when you stop seeking acceptance and start accepting yourself. Only then will you be able to live a meaningful life, guided by your own truth, without depending on others. Yes, to be happy. Number 14, know when it's time to let go. Have you ever held on to something that had already ended simply because you feared being alone? Have you stayed in relationships that didn't serve you, in places that no longer excited you, or tried to remain someone who no longer made sense to you? All because you didn't know or couldn't say, enough. Heracles, a lesser-known but wise Stoic philosopher, spoke about a truth that many people avoid accepting. Everything that begins will eventually come to an end, and the more we try to avoid that end, the harder everything becomes. What truly hurts is not the end itself. What aches is trying to keep something alive when it has already lost its purpose. It's clinging to something that no longer holds meaning. It's fearing the release of what, deep down, has already gone. Stoicism teaches that everything changes, everything passes, and that the key is to accept these changes with calmness and wisdom. To truly grow means knowing when it's time to turn the page. It's recognizing when something has fulfilled its role in your life. Knowing when a friendship, a love, a job, or an idea no longer adds value and needs to be left behind. Holding on to something that no longer has life is carrying unnecessary weight. It's draining your energy, exhausting your body, and cluttering your mind. And the worst part, it prevents new opportunities and experiences from entering your life. Imagine you're holding onto a rope. On the other end, someone or something is drifting away. The tighter you grip, the more the pain increases, the more it hurts, the more trapped you feel. And yet, you stay there, out of habit, out of an old story, out of fear. But there comes a moment when letting go hurts less than holding on. It's at this point that true freedom is born, when you find the courage to release what no longer serves you. Letting go, not out of anger, but out of respect, not out of weakness, but because you understand that everything has a beginning, middle, and end. Being wise means knowing when to end something with dignity, without bitterness or resentment. There are friendships that were once good, but have now become mere noise. There are jobs that once mattered, but now distance you from who you truly are. There are habits that once had a purpose, but now only hold you back and hinder your growth. You can leave these things behind with kindness and gratitude in your heart. You can close a chapter without fights or resentment. You can step away with peace of mind. And most importantly, you can move forward whole, ready for what comes next. The Stoic understands that clinging to the past is like trying to hold water with open hands. The more you try, the more it slips through your fingers. The more you insist that time should stop, the more you become frozen inside. Yes, the end hurts, but it also makes room for what is to come. It clears the path and shows you that you are stronger than you think, that you can start over and begin something new, because it is not the end that defines who you are, but what you build after it happens. So, pause for a moment, look around you, and more importantly, look within yourself. What have you been asked to end, but are still trying to hold on to out of fear? What needs to be left behind for something new to emerge in your life? Letting go is also an act of love. Love for yourself, love for your truth, love for the time you still have. And you don't need permission to do this, only the courage to act and take the reins of your own life. When you learn to let go, when you recognize the time to step away with serenity and clarity, you become stronger and more prepared for the challenges that life still has to offer. And in the end, it is this inner strength that will guide you through any situation. Number 15, live with more attention. Have you ever stopped to think about what life expects from you? Not in terms of success, money, or fame, but deep down, in the silence between tasks, in how you treat others, in the way you move through your days. Panidius of Rhodes, one of the last Stoic thinkers, said that doing what is right doesn't need an audience, that the value of an action lies in being just, not in appearing beautiful to others. Living with attention is choosing to do good even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. Perhaps this is the hardest lesson of all. Your life doesn't need to impress. It needs to make sense. It doesn't need to shine. It needs to have purpose. Because being conscious isn't just about knowing things. It's about living according to what you believe. Many people live on autopilot. They wake up, rush, respond to messages, solve problems, and that's it. And when the day ends, they can't even say where their heart was. Their body was there, but their soul was left out. Living with attention means choosing to be fully present in each moment. It means not letting days pass in blank. It means transforming the small things, like making coffee, listening to someone, finishing a task, into reflections of who you truly are. You can't control time, but you can choose how to navigate through it. And this choice changes everything. It's not about seeking perfect moments. It's about being present even on difficult days. It's about acting calmly even when everything seems chaotic. It's about continuing to be just even when no one notices. It's about being whole even in the small things. Think of your life as a notebook that you are writing in now. Each decision you make is a sentence. Each gesture is a mark. In the end, what remains is the trace of your consciousness, what you did with what you knew, what you left in others, and what you refused to abandon within yourself. A Stoic does not live by impulse. They follow a direction, and that direction comes from a choice that no one sees. The choice not to betray oneself, not out of haste, fear, or the desire to please. Living with intention gives a beautiful meaning to your journey. It's about not letting time carry you on autopilot, but making it a fertile ground where every action you take is a seed that can grow into something greater. And if today were your last day, what phrase would you be saying? What value would you be practicing? What choice would you be making? The honest answer to these questions reveals how you are making the most of your one and only life. Those who decide to live with intention don't need grand promises. They just need to be fully present, body and soul, because everything done with justice lingers, and everything lived with sincerity is already worth it forever. I sincerely hope this message has helped you in some way. I want to congratulate you for staying until the end of the video. It shows that you truly want to grow as a person. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment. If you're unsure what to write, just type gratitude, and that will let me know you watched until the end. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Hit the button and come be part of our community. Stoicism has many practical teachings that apply to our daily lives. So, I invite you to continue learning about this way of living. Below, I've included 2 videos filled with valuable insights for you to follow on this journey. See you soon.